Your grandfather built this farm with his hands, not a metaphor, literally with his hands. The fence posts he cut from the timber on the north ridge, the irrigation channels he dug across 3 dry seasons, the main house he raised board by board over 4 years, while your grandmother cooked for the workers, and your father, still a child, carried water from the well. 62 acres of corn and sorghum in the valley outside Sonora, and every inch of it built by people who are buried on the property. You were born in the main house. Your children were born in the main house. You have never once considered that it could stop being yours. Then the men come. They arrive on a Tuesday in 2 black trucks with no plates, 4 of them. Plain clothes, dark jackets, the specific kind of unhurried that belongs to people who have never once been told no and do not expect to start hearing it today. They park in front of the main house, and the one who gets out first looks at the property, the way people look at things they have already decided to own. He introduces himself as Señor Vega. He does not explain who he works for. He does not need to. You have lived in this valley your entire life. You know what black trucks with no plates mean. You know what Señor Vega means. You have just never had reason to know it personally until this Tuesday. He tells you the cartel wants to acquire your property. He uses that word, acquire, as if this is a business arrangement between equals, as if the 2 men standing behind him with their hands near their jackets are just part of the scenery. He tells you the offer is fair. He slides a document across your kitchen table. You look at the number. It is not fair. It is a fraction of what the land is worth, and both of you know it. But the number is not really the point. The number is just the formality they attach to the thing they are going to take anyway, so they can tell themselves it was a transaction. You tell him you need time to think. He smiles. He says, of course. He says, take all the time you need. He says they will be back on Friday. He leaves. You stand in your kitchen for a long time after the sound of the trucks fades down the dirt road. You call your brother that night. Marco lives in Hermosillo now, left the valley 12 years ago, works in construction, has a life that does not involve black trucks with no plates. He listens to everything you tell him, and then he is quiet for a long time. He says, give them the farm. You say, it's grandfather's farm. He says, grandfather is dead. You are not. You say, you will call him back. You do not call him back. On Wednesday, you go to the municipal office in town. You bring the title deed, the original survey documents from 1967, your grandfather's handwritten ledgers from the first decade of the farm. You sit across from a clerk named Senora Fuentes, who has worked in this office for 23 years and who listens to everything you tell her with the expression of someone who has heard this story before. She says the land title is registered and valid. She says you have every legal right to refuse the sale. She says this while looking at the window rather than at you. You ask if there is anything else she can do. She says she is very sorry. On the way out, you see the black truck parked across the street from the municipal building. Not the same men, a different man. Sitting in the driver's seat reading a newspaper, not looking at you. You understood the message anyway. On Thursday, you make 3 decisions. The first decision, your wife, Elena, and your 2 children leave for her mother's house in Nogales. You tell Elena it is temporary. You tell her it is a precaution. She looks at you with the expression of a woman who has been married to you for 16 years and knows when you're lying and has decided to accept the lie because the alternative is arguing with you, which has never once in 16 years produced a different outcome. She takes the children. She takes the important documents. She takes the photograph of your grandfather that hangs in the main house hallway. The one from 1971, where he is standing in the middle of the cornfield with his hand shielding his eyes from the sun and looking at something in the distance that no one who looks at the photograph can identify. You watch the car disappear down the dirt road. Then you go to the barn. The second decision, You call the journalist. Her name is Adriana Reyes. She works for a newspaper in Mexico City, a real newspaper, the kind with lawyers and an international reputation, and editors who have dealt with cartel pressure before and have not folded. You have never met her. You found her through 3 phone calls to people who knew someone who dealt with something similar in Chihuahua 2 years ago. You tell her everything. You tell her about Señor Vega and the black trucks and the document on the kitchen table and the man outside the municipal building reading a newspaper. You tell her about your grandfather and the 62 acres and the fence posts cut from the North Ridge timber. She listens. She asks questions, real questions, specific questions, the kind that tell you she is writing things down and will keep writing things down after you hang up. She says she cannot protect you. She says she can make sure the story exists. You say that is enough. The third decision you make in the barn, alone with the door closed, and you do not tell anyone about it. On Friday, Señor Vega comes back. Same 2 black trucks, same 4 men. He comes to the kitchen table and he sits in the chair he sat in on Tuesday, and he puts a new document on the table, the same offer, but with a deadline printed at the bottom. 3 days. You tell him you're not selling. The smile leaves his face. Not dramatically, it just goes, the way a light goes when you flip a switch. He looks at you the way people look at problems they are reclassifying. He says, "You have children." You say, "I know." He says, "Think about them." You say, "I am." He leaves. They come back that night. Not Señor Vega. The other men. 3 of them. Moving through the corn in the dark. And you know they are coming because you have been sitting in the barn with the door open since sundown, watching the North Ridge the way your grandfather used to watch it for weather. They set fire to the east field first. You watch it go. 60 years of soil and irrigation and careful tending going orange in the dark, and you watch it with your hands on the fence rail, and you do not try to stop it because stopping it was never the point. While the east field burns, you make the call. Adriana Reyes answers on the second ring. You tell her it has started. You tell her what they are doing. She tells you she has been ready since Thursday, and the story goes live in the morning, not just in Mexico City, international wire services, 3 foreign correspondents who have been briefed and are waiting for this call. You watch the east field burn. You think about your grandfather standing in the corn in 1971 with his hand over his eyes, looking at something no one else can see. You think you might understand now what he was looking at. The story runs on Saturday morning. By noon, it has been picked up by 17 outlets in 4 countries. By evening, there are 2 foreign journalists at the end of your dirt road and a state government official who drove 3 hours to stand on your property and express concern in front of cameras. Señor Vega does not come back. The cartel does not come back. Not that week. Not the following week. Not in the months that follow, during which the story stays alive, because Adriana Reyes is very good at her job, and because international attention is a different kind of problem than a farmer in a valley who can be quietly disappeared without anyone noticing. The east field is gone. 60 years of soil burned in one night. It will take 3 seasons to restore it, if it can be restored at all. The farm is still yours. Your grandfather's photograph is back on the wall in the main house hallway. Elena brought it back when she came home with the children in October, and she hung it in the exact same spot without saying anything about it, which is one of the things you love most about her. You stand in front of it sometimes in the evenings, a man in a cornfield in 1971, his hand over his eyes, looking at something in the distance. You know what he was looking at now. He was looking at this, at the farm still standing after everything that tried to take it, at the fence posts from the North Ridge timber and the irrigation channels and 62 acres that belong to the people buried in its ground, at you, standing in the hallway in the evening light. Still here?